They say everyone wishes they had all they ever dreamt of, whether it be to become one of the biggest stars in the world, create a song that charts on the global top 10, or even have a business grow into a famous household name. For me, I wished I was a successful YouTuber. Throughout my life, I've always fantasized over a reality where my wish was true, but never really thought that it was ever possible. But after some hard times and some soul searching, I decided to finally give this a shot, to chase this dream in an attempt to live the life I've always wanted. But things didn't really go as I expected. The emotions we get after watching a great film was one of the reasons I became interested in filmmaking. I remember sitting there through the credits scene, feeling empty and thinking to myself, damn, I'm gonna change something in my life. And from there on, wanting to create something that people could relate to and have their lives positively impacted is where I found the passion for filmmaking. Before I got started on my first video, I knew that if I wanted to create something great, I would have to make sure that every element in the video was perfect. Meaning everything from planning, scripting, storytelling, filming, editing, pacing, sound, music, color, lighting, thumbnail, everything would have to be perfect. Knowing what it took, I started planning and categorized everything I needed to do in order to create what I envisioned, and got to work to create my first ever video. First, I needed to organize my thoughts and create an outline to tell the story that I wanted. That involved the steps of planning, scripting, and creating a shot list. Dedicating time every day into planning, thinking, and writing down ideas, I was moving closer and closer to what I wanted to make. Planning went fairly easy as I already envisioned how I'd structure the video beforehand. Scripting took a little longer than I wanted, but eventually I was able to write what I wanted to say. Creating a shot list also took some time, but in the end, it was finished. The plan, script, shot list were all finished. The progress I've made was remarkable. Everything was clicking. Envisioning how the whole thing would look in the end really made me begin to believe that this dream was really going to happen. But as things were going too well, it was only a matter of time before something stood in my path, threatening it all. Filming and editing, the final steps left. I knew normal camera settings weren't gonna cut it, so I spent time researching and learning some settings to make my video look as cinematic as possible. And then I started. But it didn't look what I wanted it to look. Not even close. Maybe it's just an off day today. I'll try again tomorrow. Same outcome. Maybe editing's where I'm supposed to make everything look cinematic. I'll move on to narration for now. No success either. I gave it a couple of more tries, but it simply just wasn't working. My voice sounded off, I kept stuttering and messing up, and I looked quite awkward on camera too. At this point, I was seriously struggling with my self-confidence, and had serious doubts in my ability to create what I envisioned to create. Ending up settling for all the footage I filmed, I tried editing everything in hopes that I could salvage this video. But there was no chance at this point. The video was nowhere near what I wanted it to be, and wasn't even close to the quality of other YouTubers and filmmakers. Those negative feelings and self-doubts were certainly at an all-time high at this point. I really had no clue what to do at this point and was left questioning if this just wasn't it for me. And so, I ended up losing all hope, giving up on all that I worked for, and started drifting away from this dream of mine, believing that it was all over. "3 months, 14 days, and 11 hours. Not much has happened since March, but Lately, there's been a feeling that something was missing in my life. But I chose to ignore it and moved on with my everyday life. And then it struck me. Nothing happens overnight. I wasn't Liszt when I started piano. Definitely wasn't Djokovic when I started tennis. Or even Mike Tyson when I first played Wii Sports. Yeah. I was too used to being in a zone of comfort, not realizing that everything I'm decent at now took a lot of time, dedication, setbacks, failures, patience, and hard work. So why would filmmaking be any different? As much as I wanted to create the best video possible, I can't expect to jump out of the gate, creating what experienced YouTubers and filmmakers create today. I have to practice by creating and uploading in order to get to where I want to get one day. Relearning all this, I decided to take action and try one more time to create my first video to start chasing this dream once again. The truth is, that wasn't the first time I tried making a video. I tried several times before, making rough ones, but they always never made it past filming. It was just spending so much time and effort on the last one that just amplified those doubts after failing. And I still had doubts if I could finally progress past filming this time. But I had to try. As usual, everything went smoothly. I chose a different idea and spent more time learning more about filmmaking and storytelling. But as I approached closer to filming, I was once again afraid to fail at the same spot that I've always failed on. But I had to try. And then I started. But it didn't look what I wanted it to look. Not even close. But I knew that this was gonna take time. And I knew that if I wanted to finally break past these mental barriers, I would have to try again. And again. And again. And again. And again. Again. Until I finally broke through. It took quite a while, and the shots definitely weren't perfect. But I knew that these things were going to take time. Editing felt miserable though. There were many times where I simply had zero clue what I was doing. The doubts came back, and there were so many times where I wanted to scrap the entire thing. But once again, these things were going to take time, and I knew I had to keep going. And eventually, after countless hours, days, weeks, I was able to break past all those doubts I had in my head and string everything together to finally create my first ever video. Failure and doubts aren't fun. It might feel like you're doing everything right, but seeing no results. You'll doubt whether you'll make it. You'll doubt whether you're on the right path. And you'll be on the end of countless fears, setbacks, self-doubts, and failures. But everything takes time. Even though that first video is complete, I know that there's still more to learn and more room to improve. It will take more planning, scripting, filming, editing, publishing, and even more failures to get to where I want to get one day. If you aren't seeing the results you want, think of a time where you finally achieved something that you wanted. It could be anything. Then, think of what it took to get there. If you're able to succeed in that, then whatever you're pursuing now shouldn't be anything different. No matter how many doubts you'll have, or failures you'll come across, as long as you keep showing up, keep going, learning, practicing, improving everything, there shouldn't be any doubt that one day you will dream it into reality.